Learn more about X channels, available on Comcast channels 98 and 22. Channel 98 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 13, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
very long time.
Is that recording?
I have no idea. I see a red light, which I'm okay with.
All right.
Should we let him know? Because I know we're supposed to be recording these, but we got you.
I can go on the YouTube channel and find out.
Yeah.
No, this is not going to be on the YouTube channel yet because it's
No, but it would be on Facebook.
No, this isn't streaming yet.
Oh, this one's not
They have to
upstairs.
upload it to YouTube after.
All right, that works for me.
To edit it first.
Yeah, it's recording.
Oh, it sure is.
Oh.
We sure are.
Well, hot dog, friends. Here we go. Well, we're talking
Everyone
about a
knows
good
about
cause.
French.
Yeah, they do know, which is awesome. That's fantastic. That's a good cause. All right, guys, welcome to the Rec Advisory Board meeting, October 25th. We have not met for quite some time, so we're going to bring this meeting to order. I want to welcome everybody. We're going to start off by going around. Just want to introduce ourselves and welcome Mr. Dudra. Bob Dudra is a new member of the Park and Rec Advisory Committee, and Bob and his wife Karen are very active in the community, and we're really excited to have you. Thank you for spending time with us.
My pleasure.
We're just going to go around. Just want to introduce everybody. You can introduce yourself. Let us know who you are.
Toby, Assistant Director, Exeter Parks and Rec.
Bryn Sullivan. I'm a resident here in Exeter, and I also work for Portsmouth Recreation.
And you're the also the assistant chair.
And assistant chair, yeah.
Mike Whistler, I'm a board member.
I'm Molly Cowan. I am a select board member and the former and now
Oh, that's
current.
right.
I'm back.
It felt like she never left.
That's right. So I am happy to be here. I'm just coming from soccer, so I'm all
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Jen Harrington, board member.
Dan Provost, board member.
I'm just the recording secretary.
She's not just the recording secretary, she's Joanna Bertel, and we love her.
I'm Bob Dudra. I guess I'm the newbie in the group here. Lived here 7 years now in Exeter.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks for joining us.
And Greg Beeson, Parks and Rec Director.
And Stephanie Pappas-Medis, Chair of Parks and Rec Committee. We're going to get started by approving the minutes from the March 25th, 2022 meeing.
I emailed out the link.
Yes, Greg emailed out the link. Did anybody not receive them or have the opportunity to review them yet?
I don't believe I have.
And that's okay, because you can't vote
anyway, so
weren't
you weren't
here,
there. Yeah,
although
you
we'll take
Uh-huh.
votes later for yours. Did everybody have the opportunity to review them?
Yes.
Unless there are any changes, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the March 25th, 2022 meeting.
I'll move to approve the March 25th, 2022 minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions? All right, if no discussion or questions, we will approve. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone not in favor, say nay. All right, we are good to approve the minutes. I don't have my gavel, so 10 it is today. So we've approved the minutes from the March 25th, 2022 meeting. Wanted to start, we don't have any public here, but if we did, we would certainly allow them to speak. So anybody that wants to come for public, if you're watching, feel free to come on in. Any questions or discussion points that you want to bring up, we really welcome you to come and join us at these meetings. But since we don't have public comment, we're going to start out by going over the role charge that we have as advisory board members, because we do have a new member. So we'd like to just walk through the mission statement that we worked on as a committee with Primex, and just make sure that everybody's kind of clear on our mission, clear on our role here on the committee, so that we're all on the same page. So Greg, I'll let you take that if you'd like.
Yes, the Rec Advisory Board's role, if you can, I'm not going to read it, but I'll read it for the general public, is to promote a vibrant, sustainable rec department by providing ongoing support and recommendation to the Parks and Recreation Director, responding to the needs of the community, promoting collaboration, and fostering a culture of service to all community members, both youth and adults of all ages. Yes, we worked with Primex, as you all remember. It was a great thing to work with. We restarted the Rec Advisory Board to help with the growing of the Parks and Rec Department, which we've grown ever since we started it. But the most important, the charge of the board is actually, it was discussed by the select board a number of times before it was approved. So this is what the select board would like us to see in going in the direction, is to work with me, Conservation Commission, which we have do that a lot, the YMCA, which we do as well, town manager and select board to plan and implement a wide range of civic, cultural, and recreational opportunities for all residents of Exeter. And then study the general recreational development in the town of Exeter, advise and recommend to the Parks and Rec director as to such items which would result in a greater improvement of the entire recreational system, study the entire general recreation programming, aid and assist in formulating future plans, facilities, and programs that will benefit all of the users, and then study and recommend methods of financing proposed recreational developments, which I think is a big one. So,
Any discussion, anything that anybody would like to add to that? Anything that anybody thinks that we should be doing that we're potentially not doing, because we have not met in a while, so it's time to start our engines and get going as a committee.
I have a question.
Sure.
How does the committee get involved with the Conservation Commission? How does that work?
so we've been doing a lot collaborative with Kristen Murphy, our natural resource officer, doing programs. We promote their events, they promote our events. So that's kind of the collaboration. We together this past spring, we developed a new trail behind Brickyard Park. That's about 1.5 mile loop. We're still working on signage and a kiosk. But that's how we're working together, because a lot of what conservation does and Parks and Rec kind of meld together, especially for our national organization. Conservation is one of their leading charges, but New Hampshire's been way ahead of that trend, having conservation commissions for many, many years. So when I hear my colleagues from around the country say, oh, we got to conserve our open space, New Hampshire's been doing that for many years. So we're looking forward to, now that Kristen is full-time, to do more. Earlier, about September, the day after October, the day after the powder keg, we had a kayak. Oh no, the weekend before, we had a kayak adventure down. We have 6 kayaks that we are renting now. So we're hoping to expand that. So we're looking to collaborate more, especially we're excited if and when the Rains Barn is renovated as well. So doing more outdoor educational stuff with them.
Well, I just want to follow, and with all this new development going on within the town, do you work with the Conservation Commission to help these builders then to conserve part of their development into trails and things of that nature?
That actually is a specific RSA, I believe. Am I right, Molly? Do you think?
The planning board definitely has specific regulations that they impose. And what we're trying to do as a town is really do infill development. So instead of
sprawling
and like tentacling out into our open spaces, really figuring. So it does come up, but it comes up a little bit less because of the kind of development that we're trying to promote.
And especially, let's say, for instance, if a development has an impact on wetlands, there's a specific RSA of they can exchange acreage for disturbing that wetland a little bit. I'm not an expert, so I'm not going to go in there, but yeah, and getting them, and it's really, when the developer gives it over to the town, it's under the preview of conservation, and depending on what the habitat is, they may not want us to develop it per se, so or use trails, because there's so much wildlife out there they don't want to disturb. So it's a double-edged sword.
Sure.
But there are also
a trail that might have turtle eggs along it that you don't want then to promote it recreationally, because you don't want to disturb the turtle eggs.
And one last thing, if you don't mind.
No, that's fine, we appreciate it.
Does this town connect with the other communities to help maybe eventually, long-term, connect trails to go from Exeter to Portsmouth, for example? Is there any connection with the other, conservation or planning boards or things?
As of right now, no, Bob. The tough thing, the one nice thing on the coastal, I believe the rail trail is going to go through. It goes through Portsmouth, so right now with us having the active railroad, it's hard to connect to the rail trail.
Sure.
But there is definitely, especially after the 10 Hampton Road acquisition, Public Works has definitely put it in their list of like extending sidewalks down that direction. When that happens, who knows? But especially I did have a new resident come in who lives on Fuller Lane asking when that's going to happen because she still has to walk on Hampton Road. And I'm like, she's only been here a couple years. So I told her, gotta be patient.
Tell her to go back in the minutes and continue to go back in the minutes. Yeah.
With the Conservation Commission, and I never say this acronym right, the CW...
LWCF.
No, it's the exchange of land.
Oh, the land swap.
The land swap. What's the acronym for that? The company that we, or the trust that we always have to switch land. You can't use...
Salt.
No. I'm sorry.
And it's not L-chip either, because that's...
LWCF would be the land swap.
Yeah, LWCF.
Yeah.
So does that work with the Conservation Commission at all? Or?
Yeah, there's several properties that the Conservation Commission has purchased with LWCF money. So that's the nice thing. There's one off of Allen. That's a nice conservation trail that is LWCF. I only know this because I went on a tour with the state and Kristen a number of years ago. So there's about 8 properties in town and only 3 of them are recreational. So a lot of them do fall under LWCF.
Any other discussion points or questions? Those are great questions, guys. Thanks. All right, and I really like the idea of talking down the line because we like to put things together as to what we'll do down the line of potentially at some point, discussing with other towns about pulling together to get those trails to connect. Because I think it's, number one, it's important for people to have those, but it's also great for us to reach out to other towns and have it look like...
And recreational programming too. There's a lot of communities that, especially smaller communities that don't have large rec departments that may need a push to get, like for instance, we're partnering with Kingston to offer a pickleball clinic in November.
Oh, nice.
They have indoor gym space on a Sunday. So we're gonna partner with them on that. And I know other rec departments have done like combo trips like Hampton and we used to do a New York City trip yearly and fill up a bus and go to Bryant Park, drop them off for the day and hope that everyone comes back on the bus. You don't have to leave anyone.
Yeah.
All right. Any other discussion on what our role is as a board and anything that anybody wants to add on there? And thank you for these questions. Really appreciate these ones.
Keep them coming.
Yeah, we're going to move on to Planet Playground update. If there are no more questions or discussion points on that.
Planet Playground, we have tabled it for this year because we're still in negotiations with the property owner. If you don't know, the property was sold and officially closed in June. It's owned by a company in Manhattan. So we're trying to negotiate with them on how much we can purchase the property for. But it's also coming back and re-looking at the designs and scaling it back. The designs came in a little high, so we want to reduce that. So when we go to the fundraising, and finally pick a design, I should say too, and go to the fundraising aspect of it and getting the community buy-in, that way we can come back. And LWCF is anxious for us to come in and submit this project. But one thing that they have made very clear is they're looking now for communities that put in for LWCF to come up with, have kind of a master plan, parks master plan, which we started last year outlining, and I'm gonna continue with a local resident on, and then this year, that's one of our goals, is to maybe put together a parks master plan. That way we are in better condition to get LWCF, but also, and I forget the term, any federal projects now are gonna be falling under the Build a Better
America.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to, when you put in kind of basically say, hey, I got these materials for this project, were built in the US. Or at least try to source from the US. So that's the one thing. So that was just given to them to enact. So anything for that will be done. But Planet Playground is still functional. It still was working. So it's very worn. So if you go in there and you see things broken, we've had to replace boards, and we're trying to Band-Aid it until we can get it. But no matter what, it probably wouldn't be replaced now at the earliest until 2024.
How does that parcel work? With the sale?
We're gonna have to get them to subdivide it. And it is landlocked, and it's about an acre of property that we would need from them. They don't need to sell it to the town.
Does it go all the way to the street?
It does not.
It does not. So where you see the 6 Hampton Road, that's
That's what I wondered.
it's the occupational health for Exeter Hospital. That is, there's a little weird shaped lot in front, and then this is kind of a L shape off of 8 Hampton Road.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand. I'm guessing 6 Hampton Road used to be part of 8 Hampton Road, and they subdivided that at one point. So it's very landlocked, and they know that Genesis, who rents the facility, has no desire to expand said facility, and this company is looking at it from the 50,000 foot view saying, well, we're in Manhattan and this is what we see. They literally told me they'd never even stepped foot on the property.
But they own that parcel.
They own the
right?
whole 8 Hampton Road.
So,
Yeah, they own Genesis plus
Yeah.
that weird,
so conceivably, they could just say,
yes.
no.
Yeah,
They could.
and they could say, get it off our property. We don't want the liability anymore.
Right.
So,
So until that gets itself worked through, it really does make sense for us to hold off on you for a couple of reasons.
Yeah.
Number one, that, but also we were so grateful that, 10 Hampton Road got approved last year to ask for the funding from voters this year, I think would be a really tough ask once they've just put in,
but
1.3 million.
they are definitely excited for it, and by the voting, we had a lot of people vote for design, so we're gonna go back and tweak the budget and come back. And if we can land on a design that the community can buy into, then we can come to you and then the select board, like, all right, the old Planet Playground model, like, we're gonna then start soliciting, like, oh, J Corp can now sponsor one of the slides and get a placard on it. And RJ's Hardware is doing a Bank of Swings plaque. And that way we can then go into budget season saying we raised X amount of dollars. We need this much to get us over.
And that's where we're not able to do that, but we have Friends of Rec, and that's what Friends of Rec are charged to do. So that committee, although part of us is separate in that they can go out and they can solicit business, we cannot as committee members do that. But I really would love to talk a little bit more about the build up to Planet Playground, because we had some really nice community input. I would like to see our committee be a little bit more involved, because I know a couple people were, when we talked, were taken back that we were even presenting that night, I didn't know I had to jump on. At a last minute, I found out and jumped on to see the designs, but we had, a lot of committee members that didn't know. So I think the order that you had it where, there's intel, then it goes to the select board, then it comes here. I think it might want to start here, then we go to community output, and then go to select board, because we got a lot of great input from the community, but I also think that bringing it in-house, we have the ability to look at the designs as they were put. And you and I even talked about this too, that when I looked at the designs as they were going through the presentation, I was thinking, if we sat down knowing the members of this committee, I think that we would have been able to help them really rein that in and still get a beautiful playground, but have kept the cost a little bit lower and been able to provide a little bit more. Whereas when they came in, the public gave great input, and they said, well, we want all spaceships, or we want all this. So the designers came in and they built this entire beautiful space, center in the entire area. But the problem is, because it was branded and because it was all themed, it was, yes, a lot more money than we really could have ended up getting a lot more for our buck.
I didn't see, what was the footprint, like the square footage on the total? On the
120 by 140.
And what's it, do you know what it is currently?
120 by 140.
Okay, so it's the same footprint.
Yeah, same footprint, but there's a lot of wasted space in the
There's a lot of
current.
wasted
Right, that's why I
Yeah.
asked.
It looked cool. There was a lot of wasted space.
No, there's a lot of wasted space in the current.
In the current one.
Well, there
And is there any
wasn't a lot of
discussion
the
about
designs too.
Yeah.
if we don't want to deal with trying to purchase that land, finding another place for it now
Yes.
that we have 10?
Oh, that's
Hampton Road?
Yeah, that's gonna be on the docket,
Okay.
and most likely, if we want to keep it at Fort Hampton Road, we ultimately could put it in the green space in the front and
Right.
have it a fenced in, and
Right.
it's just- we would just have to provide a little more shade trees.
Yeah.
But it's still, we could totally abandon where we are, and that may ultimately be the best case scenario, to be honest with you, because you could keep playing the playground open while you construct a new one.
Sure. Rather than building on that.
What is the process for developing a parks master plan? Do you need help with that? Is that something
Yes.
that we should be?
Yes, because I have an outline and I'm going to bring it to the board, and then we're going to have public input sessions, and really, what I was really waiting on and what I was excited most about, and I didn't catch that, the bike and pedestrian, there's a lot of plans that planning put out there that need to be incorporated, because we want to make it as seamless as of a interconnect, like we don't want you getting in your cars and driving everywhere. Get out there, walk and bike, and how we can make everything connectivity. And so getting people's input on what they eventually want to see, which direction they want ultimately, and how much they want to invest in. But the last line of our charge is recommend methods for financing proposed rec developments. That's going to be the big one, because if we don't want to burden the taxpayers, how are we going to come up with this? Yeah, we got LWCF and there's some other things, funding out there, but it's going to be a lot of knocking on doors and seeing what people want. So hopefully by the end of the 2023 year, we'll have a whole encompassing master plan that the select board can then adopt.
Are you volunteering to be the writer of it? Because we know that you do a really good
I would
job
love
of
to help.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, I would love to help.
Yeah,
And
I think
know,
it's
like,
definitely a big committee.
my wife's on arts and culture.
Oh, great.
And I know they're trying to bring like a mural project into town. And I think it would integrate really well with a plan like this. Get some murals at all the playgrounds and things like that. So.
Yeah, I went to a great session actually at our national conference. It's designing parks for the 21st century, and there's a lot of integrating of art now and culture into them. But it's interesting, like some of the things that they talk about, equity, making sure everything's equitable, but it's also making sure, which I was surprised at, that with all the public protest that the parks are designed that you can have people with freedom of speech without destroying your park. So, and going away from the old adage of stay out of our parks, we don't want you there. And the presenter was a former commissioner at New York City, and the former mayor realized the inequity in the parks. And so in 2014, he put $315 million towards parks, because they had done an analysis, and over 20 of their parks had never gotten any funding in the last 25 years. So basically all they were is crime scenes. So how they turned it around, and they looked at not only parks, but any public spaces, and especially with COVID-19, they kind of like, how can we get people outside, just to get them outside? So I'll send you what draft I have, because he's been a great volunteer putting together at least a framework. And I think once we start having public meetings and getting people out there to come, if they will come to the meetings, voicing their opinion.
Craig, is this a master plan? Does the town of Exeter have a master plan already? And would this be a chapter in that town's master plan?
So a number of years ago, the town changed their format of the master plan. It's all encompassing master plan. There's not a specific chapter in there, but recreation is smattered throughout the whole master plan.
Yeah.
So this would be like a subset of that, like, all right,
The master plan has probably like goals or pillars.
Yeah.
And then you're
exactly.
weaving the pillars throughout rather than the department.
Correct, yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I do think that a master plan lets us get a lot of buy-in and get a lot of feedback, and then if something happens, be like, yes, right, it's in the master plan.
This is why we're headed in this direction.
Yeah.
Yep.
But right now, the framework is about 43 pages. So,
That's good.
yeah, it's a good start, but it still needs the public input. Like, we need to get as much public input, and that's us putting together surveys and like having public input sessions, not only at the town hall, but maybe going to individual parks. When we did a public input session at Park Street Common, we had 50 people show up just to talk about the playground, and now that playground's become one of the hottest playgrounds in town. So how we can get them to buy in at everything. Our Tune and Fork Tuesdays have been really popular and growing, and so that's another thing. It's like how we can utilize all these different parks and not just focus on one in the area.
Yeah.
So.
Any other discussion points or questions you guys have on Planet Playground and the updates? All right, we're moving right along. Powder keg update.
We had an outstanding job. Did you enjoy yourself?
I did.
All right, good.
So
All right.
I haven't missed one.
I know.
Has there been 8?
10.
10? I'm 10 for 10.
We sold 3,000 tickets.
Wow.
So it's 1,000 more than we did the previous year. Yes, cost of things did go up for us, but right now we're still working on closing finances, but it looks like we'll each, between the chamber and us, we'll each profit over $30,000.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we're really excited about that. We put out surveys to the vendors and to the the participants. Did you get one?
I'm sure Mary Page.
Probably, all right. I know, I saw it when she signed up for it.
Yeah.
Asking for feedback. So the number one feedback was, go back to one session.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I heard that on the way out.
Yeah.
People were coming at me diagonally, we want one session. And I said, well, you can do that.
Yeah.
By buying tickets
Yeah.
for session one,
What
session two.
did
We
they
did
say?
have vendors that
The
did
reasoning
it.
behind it, was it just not long enough?
Not long enough.
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah.
Not enough time.
And
It's a little rough.
honestly, the way I'm looking at it too, it would throttle down the consumption. Even though you're having a longer period of time. So we're gonna go back to the single glass.
Are we gonna go back to the single session?
Yeah, single session with
Plastic.
you get plastic glasses. You get a plastic glass that you go around and fill up, because the compostable worked out great. Mr. Fox was outstanding. I mean, it was a great setup. It worked well. But it just also anxiety provoking.
Well, what happens with the shorter session is you don't want to waste time in the chili lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so people are like in the beer lines and folks there, and then it's like, looking at your watch, and it's like, do I have time to wait in this 10-minute chili line?
Exactly. So our goal would be 3,000 again, just in the same footprint. And just maybe a few more breweries and a lot more restaurants, yes. And the feedback from the participants, we want more chili, but it's hard to just explain to them that that's not on us, it's on the restaurant and the whole restaurant industry.
And they donate that.
And they donate it. We're going back to having a chili judging next year. That was another.
We need to do a beer judging this time round because we've missed that the last few years. I think that there should be like a top 10
Yeah, that's beer.
breweries.
Yeah.
Because that makes it really, number one, it makes it fun. You guys really pay attention to it and get involved. But I also think too, from these people paying to be here, Seacoast Online will pick that up and list the top 10 breweries that were here as far as their beers, which is good for them.
Bring to the breweries, not the beers, because I can tell you, having known a lot of the brewers now, they hate Untapped, which we use, because they hate when people rank beers. because it takes a few bad reviews and I might have a
True.
great brew.
Yeah.
But if we talk about top brewery in attendance, that might not
Maybe
be
just the top beer then.
Or you could have
The top
fun
tier.
categories. You could just have fun things.
Yeah.
Like there could be like the consumer.
Most creative beer,
Yeah,
most
or
interesting,
like the
'cause-
most best fruit flavor.
There was a.
Pebbles one.
Yeah.
That was weird, right? Did you try that one?
Did you try the marshmallow?
Yeah, most
I didn't see
fruity.
the
Yeah,
marshmallow.
things like that are just
A
fun.
marshmallow IPA.
How was that? I could see a marshmallow stout maybe, but an IPA would be
Yeah.
a little rough
Tastes like beer.
to.
Yeah, it was very weird. But but we're gonna go back to the one session, but have a VIP session for those that want to be there and get in a little early. 500
Love
VIP.
that.
So extra ticket.
Extra
cost,
money, yeah.
Extra
Yeah.
cost.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
so that
nice.
way, we want to make it sure, and by starting at 12, end at 4. We went to 5 this year, which was, Dave and I were there almost in the dark. We were in the dark at the
I
end.
left it
so-
at dark. You guys were, yeah.
So, it just the logistics of cleaning up and everything. And this year, or in 2023, you would land on Columbus Day weekend. So.
Can we pick a different? Or?
No, we always keep it the first Saturday. But to keep our expectations down, I don't think we'd ever get back to the 4,000 level because now everyone's doing a beer fest.
Yeah.
There's Dairy After Dark that is 2 weeks before. Then there's one in Demerit Farms.
Casco Bay did one the weekend after us.
Yeah.
At the Red Hook.
So, I mean, people have options every weekend, and you're not gonna get them to go to every weekend. That's an alcoholic.
Could
So-
we do, instead of
Someone who appreciates good beer and
Yeah.
different beer.
just in like the vein of like, equity and access and inclusion, is there a way to do like the VIP as like almost like a lottery? Like you get a VIP and then they're not like, it's not pay to play.
It's not a bad
I have
idea.
extra money so I get to drink more.
That's not
But
a
it's
bad
like-
idea, but I mean,
It's
the
like a,
ticket-
like a Willy
Or
Wonka golden
early
ticket, like when you buy it, it's like 500 of these get you in early or something.
Or could you do like summer camp?
No, I knew you were gonna say
No, like
4
where
a.m.
like 10 years in.
Yeah.
You get like
You know what I
special-
mean? Do you
yeah.
get a special cup or do you get early bird registration like previous participants get to register?
Fast pass from
a day,
Disney.
a couple days
Like a
before.
pre-sale, like a concert.
Or like a,
Yeah.
pre-sale, just so it's not like more money, so it's not, I don't like the exclusivity of it personally.
Well, we would be approaching the breweries as this, Dan, to bring a very little exclusive taste of something that you would. So, yeah, I see your point, but that's most of the formats that have a VIP session for a reason to not only raise more revenue,
Yeah.
this is our biggest fundraiser, but it's also to allow that little like, oh, I get to actually talk with the brewer for 5
Oh,
minutes.
that's kind of nice. I do
Yeah.
like that. I also was saying to David, like maybe there could be a seating area or like a beer garden just for VIP.
That's a good idea.
Where even if you take your food, you can, there's
Like
probably.
your guaranteed seating
You're like,
or something.
okay,
Like a little seating area where you got the VIP and you can go,
Yeah.
that's actually a good
That's actually
idea.
a good idea.
With some tables and chairs and.
Yeah.
But like, we'll keep the same format where we did away with the tents because of COVID and because of the cost. I got an estimate this year of $15,000 for the
Even to get a tent. To get a tent.
Yeah. So,
And that was tough. That was insanity. I mean, when you tried to even get through there, we got a lot of feedback on people loving the new format,
Yeah.
how it's set up. Did you like it better now than?
Yeah. it's right
Because
up.
that you couldn't get to all those people in the tents, right?
No, it would
Following
get-
people.
it get very crowded. So, but we're excited that we're hopefully, we're happy with the results so far. And let's just.
Awesome.
I say we
Well,
pushed it through,
congratulations, you
but
guys.
It was fun. Want to thank everyone. Jen was there volunteering.
Mike.
Mike Whistler was there. Obviously, Dave and Greg. This doesn't get done without volunteers. And if anybody is watching, we were very short on volunteers this year, so we could always use extra volunteers. It's really important because we couldn't get people in fast enough the second session because we just didn't have the hands to do it. But we're pretty skilled at braceleting and scanning, but when you get people waiting there to get in there, and especially if we're gonna open it up to one session, we've done a really good job with the holding area
Yep.
to get people in early, but to scan 3,000 people, it's a task.
It'll be a daunting task.
Yeah, but we've done it before, but I think actually, to be fair, I think that this may actually, I've thought either way, one session or two, it has, both have their advantages and both have their disadvantages for sure. But I think one of the things as far as volunteers go, this way I think that we will really get a lot more volunteers, because people don't want to volunteer for the second session because they want to go in and drink.
Yeah.
Because when you do volunteer, you get your free ticket to get in.
Oh, I get it.
And so if you're volunteering, most people want to volunteer for a session because they're going to go in second. Thankfully for us, they don't want to go in for a session and then come volunteer afterwards, because that can get messy. But unless, of course, you're doing setup and then you're booging in, that's fine. But I think that for volunteer, I think that that's going to really help a lot with,
Absolutely.
with being able to get people in.
And that's what we're hoping as well.
Yeah, so that'll work out really well. So thank you for helping out. And it is fun. It is so much fun to volunteer there as well. And
It's a fast moving, and we did get a great compliment from a resident. And he said the email he goes, if I knew a guy that ran summer camps was organizing this beer fest, I would have volunteered years ago.
it was awesome.
Yeah.
And Parks and Rec did a great job. Jen Wheeler, as always, from the Commerce, did a wonderful job. It was a great event.
And we were very short-staffed.
Yes.
Because the chamber had lost their marketing event person. Yes. And I didn't have either of my parks guys that would usually be there, because one of our parks labor pulls horses, like at the fairs, so he's gone every weekend, so I can't really tell him to drop his love. And then my parks foreman was in Green Bay. He was at the Pats game.
Yeah.
So, no, he said count him in for 2023. But
How long did it take you to sell out the 3,000 tickets?
we were selling that day.
Yeah, we sold
we didn't sell out beforehand.
It wasn't sold out beforehand,
No.
you could just go down that morning.
There's a really good process actually as well, how they were in line and they had the QR code and they were going down and they were selling them in line. So we had somebody going down that was actually selling tickets on the spot, and everything was done on the phones this year as well. They didn't have the paper passes, so they were able to do that and have it up.
There's quite a few COVID protocols that we're gonna keep.
Yeah.
Like the paper, everyone's going away from paper tickets.
Yeah.
I don't think you
There's
can
no
ever,
need anyway.
but we get the consistent people that will call us or call the chamber. Oh, I want to come and buy my tickets. No, you gotta do it online. Well, then I'm not gonna come then. All right.
And they probably show up anyways. They just, they
Yeah.
just want to see if you'll bend on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good one to keep, obviously, going.
Yeah, because it's easy, because you just tap the phone as you walk in.
Yeah.
And we also figured out this year too that there's actually an icon on the New Hampshire IDs that actually says if they're over 21, which none of us knew until I started going through. So that was actually really cool. That made things a lot easier. So that was really nice. But,
What was the ticket price this year?
35,
are they going to go up for a full day next year?
45,
Okay,
and then
good.
60 for the VIP.
Okay.
We're $5 cheaper than everyone else. I've told the chamber, and Dave's heard this, gotta keep it cheaper than our competition.
Yeah.
And that's when they look
I
at it.
will say too, though, like, in terms of competition, not that you don't do this, but also think about like the cost in other communities, like, do they then have to pay for parking, or, like, there isn't pay, you park here for free and get to go to your event for the ticket price, whereas in other communities, they might also have to pay for parking, and the ticket price is more, so at some point, you could potentially calculate it to be higher, and it's still a savings for people if they have to pay for parking or pay for a garage or something.
Well, even at $35 for 2 hours, if I go and buy 3 craft beers in 2 hours at a bar,
It's going to be.
I'm gonna be spending about $30, if not more.
Yeah.
With tip.
Yeah, of course
So,
more, yeah, for sure.
because I don't drink
No, it's still
cheap.
It's such a deal.
What percentage would you say are going to be allocated for?
Out of 3,000,
VIP?
500, that's it. When they're gone, they're gone.
Perfect.
And we did sell a raffle this year of a lifetime ticket.
Oh, wow.
For our commemorative, it's the 10th year, we wanted to.
That's cool.
And we sold about, we sold quite a bit. But yeah, one person, so she lives in Rochester, she's excited, she's been to the last like 7 powder kegs, she's like, oh my God. So now she has to call us every year, we'll give her a ticket code, she'll log on, get her 2 tickets.
That's
awesome.
That's great.
To Dan's point, you could also do if there's 500 VIP seats, you could keep 50 of them or 100 of them or whatever. And if you're one of the first 1,000 or 500 to buy a ticket, you're automatically entered for a chance at those.
Well,
That's not a good idea.
It's a good idea. That way you've got some inclusion on there too.
Yeah.
It is for profit, but also
Yeah.
inclusion's great.
Encourages people to buy early.
yeah,
Dan's gonna be sitting right there like this, just like camp sign.
Should have bought the lifetime pass.
I didn't know that was an option.
You're gonna get free tickets next year because you're gonna volunteer.
I get it in my Christmas stocking every year.
Oh, do you really? Oh, well, tell her to put a volunteer ticket in there next year, and then
we are putting,
Swag.
yeah, we actually sold, we called it, what did we call it, Dave?
Was it commemorative? Oh, no.
No,
Drawing a line.
commemorative. No, not commemorative. We had a lot of old T-shirts and
Vintage.
vintage.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
I was asked to set up a booth next year for something that I made that I was wearing, and I'm considering it, so I'm talking to.
And we're gonna bring in more vendors for that stuff too, if we're gonna extend it. But yeah, the vintage stuff, we asked for donation because with our anticipation of moving out of 32 Court Street, I'm like, I had glasses dating back 7 years.
Yeah.
Like a few here, a few there, and we just put them out there. And we have about several cases left over, which that's gonna go to establishment here in town, and they're gonna start selling flights with the powder keg logo on it.
That's really
That's
cool.
very close to Molly, but we'll just keep it at that.
And we also sold the T-shirts from years past.
Yeah.
People
Love that.
purchased for, it was like $10.
No,
for the, or
donation.
Donation?
Like, so it was like, I have $5, here you go, pick a T-shirt.
Nice, yeah. so they got
And
from
commemorative
years
glasses,
past
we did have beer mugs that we could
Yeah.
sell.
Yeah, the Children's Day Festival in downtown Fort Smith does the old T-shirts, just piled up $5 into like a coffee can,
Yeah.
just to thin the
out.
herd. Take these shirts so I don't have to take them back.
Yeah.
That was great. And the band was
That's awesome.
really good this year as well.
Yeah,
It was excellent this year.
former Deputy Chief Monk was the bass player.
Was he really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. They played a lot of breweries and they're very up and coming, but if you like 90s
Yeah.
rock, and they raised $1,000 for hurricane relief as well.
Nice.
All the tips went to hurricane relief, so they were really pumping it out, but yeah. And they are very committed to come back next year.
Yeah, they were good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
They were, I really liked them. We always have good bands there too, but I could hear.
Maddie and the Penders.
Maddie and the Tenders.
I would recommend if you have a concert in Portsmouth, bringing them in.
They were great. Yeah, really good stuff. Like they played stuff you knew and just, they were really
Bare
good.
Naked Ladies, Goo Goo Dolls, like, you talk about 90s rock.
Yeah, it was the good 90s.
Yeah.
The good 90s of those.
That's
guys.
awesome.
But they were great. I didn't know Chief Monk was in that. That's hysterical. One thing too, we might want to add on there too, there were just a couple of entrances that I think we need to block off next year that we didn't have blocked this year. When we first came in,
Oh, no.
where the vendors were coming in, they didn't block that off, and there were a lot of people that were walking right in. So there were people that were parking on the side of the 270, and they were coming through that one right there. Either that, or we just need someone stationed over there to.
No, that should have been, that was us.
Yeah.
That should have been zip tied because people
Yeah.
started exiting and I was yelling at people, you can't exit through there, it's public housing.
Yeah.
You gotta walk around.
I was more concerned
All right.
with the ones that were coming in because we've got, we've definitely got our PEA students that are quick.
Yeah.
Real quick to get in.
All right.
So that's more than anything with that entrance, I think. And I think somebody said something about the end entrance too, and then our exit
Well,
strategy maybe a little bit.
The end exit, it keeps the honest people out, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, we would have to have a cop station there, and they were back there a lot. We do knew we're gonna have some losses
Yeah.
of, like, people will try to break in.
Yeah.
But we sold a lot of tickets, so it's,
Yeah, it was-
if they can sneak in, good for them.
Yeah, I'm just more worried about underage drinking. Getting
Yeah.
into drinking, I don't really care if they sneak in to not buy a ticket because that happens. But
Yep.
I do worry more so about someone getting out and then 10 years running becomes 10 years
Yeah.
ending because of that. So, any other things we want to bring up on Powder Keg? Any ideas? I love that they did a survey this year. That's awesome. And that's good, they're going back to one session. That's great. All right, well, we have talked that to death. We'll move on to 10 Hampton Road update. What is going on over there, Greg?
All right, hard to get a contractor, one. We do have some quotes, but the exciting news of fingers crossed, and everyone fingers crossed, we applied for a community development block grant for the major renovation of it, $750,000 to go towards renovations. That would do the whole thing at once. We will
Just downstairs or upstairs and downstairs?
Downstairs and upstairs.
Oh, both.
We will know as of next week if we get it.
That'd be awesome.
But they were very impressed that even though we don't get points for it technically on CDBG, but how we're repurposing an old farmhouse.
Oh.
They're like, this is actually kind of cool that you're gonna turn this in the community center. So that is good. There were 7 million available in CDBG, especially there's extra because of COVID. But there were $9 million worth of requests. So we may get funding, but not all of it, but we won't know until next week. But on top of that, the governor announced 2 weeks ago or last week, I think, that he's asking to put $20 million to go towards community centers of the excess ARPA funds that the state has. Still needs to go through the finance committee, I believe, and his executive council, which we know sometimes doesn't agree with him. So hopefully that will go through. That's a grant that will be managed by CDFA still, but it requires a match. And they'll match up to $1 million.
Okay.
So I don't know if we get any CDBG, if we can then parlay that to be the
Right, I was
match
gonna ask,
for the
will they
state.
allow you to use the CDBG for
they're-
the match, or does that?
I don't know yet.
because it's a
Don't know yet.
grant?
Yeah. It hasn't even made it to the executive council yet, so let's fingers crossed on CDBG
That's what I was
first.
gonna say.
Because there was some stuff that we left off to keep it under the 700, because that was the max.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the big things was redoing all the HVAC throughout the whole building with HEPA filters and UV lighting and make it more, and then space to spread out. So hopefully, fingers crossed, Melissa gave the whole tour because I was in Phoenix, and things look good, but we won't know until next week.
Do we have to put in an entire completed footprint for any of the funding? A plan or anything like that?
Well, that's part of that 750 would be, we do a design and engineering
All right.
of the building.
So we didn't have to put it into?
No,
Okay, good.
no.
All right.
But we have fiber up there, we have internet, so we could literally move our offices up there if we needed to. The downstairs, one of the downstairs offices is disabled currently. So when we had, and we'll get to this in summer, fall program recap, we have to fix a sewer pipe that leads to the pool. I think Jen was there. And so there's a couple times towards the end that it got clogged. And when we cambered it, we found that one of the sewer pipes is collapsing underneath the ground. That needs to be fixed. So one of those days was 95 degrees, and we're like, what are we gonna do with the kids for summer camp? And I'm like, use 10 Hampton Road for the bathrooms. Well, they used them, and it caused one of the cast iron pipes to crack.
I guess it's a double, you know,
Like
you
it
found
just
it
up and
right
like
now.
we found it the next day when someone went in there and like, why does it smell like sulfur?
Oh, God.
And the fire department had to come up here and they patched it, and Public Works patches. So that one office we wouldn't be able to use right now because
So it was the second floor
Better to
bathroom
find
they
out.
yes, because there was 2 of them up there, Mike. So they were using all of the bathrooms. So that was the one good thing. But our parks guys are slowly moving stuff into the carriage house.
Good.
But it really, we'd have to be creative of how we use that space, because we can barely fit a mower in the garage right now because they have the old server room from the former owner that needs to be torn down, but there's a lot of electrical that needs to be disconnected before we start tearing down walls.
So what do you think it looks like as far as date for or approximation before you?
So if we get approval next week, funds become available January 3rd. So,
Next
but that can start the process where we can get the design and engineering going. And that way we can then start bidding out and saying to the two contractors, and maybe it opens up to more. A lot of the contractors came back to me and said, for what we wanted to do initially is just make it ADA accessible to get in the first floor so we can move up there. A lot of them like, well, I'm really booked out, because it really wasn't that big of a chunk of change. So for them, they're like, it's more effort than it is worth putting they want bigger projects. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, it looks like, well, let us know when you hear about this. And I really would love for our committee to get involved in, the planning and the helping to get the design and engineering going as well. Because I think there could be some things that could oversighted that.
Yeah, the big emphasis, and one of the firms I've been talking to was recommended by someone on the facilities committee.
Okay.
Because they deal with a lot of ADA. And the principal engineer is in a wheelchair. So he has a very sharp eye on to what needs to be done.
If possible, I would really, really love for if we were to do something like we were trying to do before when we were trying to design and put together the rec center, when we kind of took that afternoon and we sat down and we listened to their presentations. It'd be awesome to have a group put together again, because I think we found out, unfortunately, the hard way that we may not have grabbed the right person for.
Well, this is strictly just a rehab. Like that exercise was more of
ground up.
Yeah, let's build brand new. This is, all right, what do we have? And Mike knows. How can we adapt this to the ADA and like make sure everything, because especially I've been talking to Bryn, like I never thought of it, but flooring is very important for ADA.
Yeah.
You want to make sure it's not slippery or they're not going to trip. So I think it's finding someone that can come in here and because we have a budget, we got to keep it to that certain amount. So there's some stuff like we won't be able to do.
Yeah.
Like the windows should be replaced. Are they functional? Yes.
So down the line.
Down the line.
Yeah, phase 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll also just add on about like the ADA too, is even, I just went through this process, I still feel like none of my doors are wide enough.
Yeah.
Because it's like the folks in the wheelchairs sometimes are also heavy, and it's an extra large wheelchair. It's like, so I went to ADA code, but it's like even just to move tables and chairs or to move a dolly or a cart, you're like, I just need everything a little wider nowadays, just for everything. All of us are a little wider. We just need the doors wider, that, and even complying with ADA sometimes doesn't feel big enough.
Yeah.
I've noticed that now.
Yeah.
I just wrote that down too.
Is there any way, the bid process of projects like that is very difficult, but design, build mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems. There's plenty of firms that have a stamp in-house, can do the engineering. The problem with that is it's always the cart and the horse. You need a set of drawings to go to bid.
Yeah.
But there's a big savings to be had if you can hire the key players and let them do the design based on kind of a needs list. And there's no way you can answer this now, but if there's any way in the structure of the funding to do that process, that could streamline the timeline and save some design costs.
So with CDBG, here's the one caveat, is we already did a level 1 environmental when we purchased the property, make sure there wasn't any environmental problems on the property. CDBG requires a level 2 environmental, which you need to have a set of designs for them to review before you even put a hammer. So it's like, they kind of have you over a barrel, like, all right, because I talked about it, like, all right, if we don't get funding, how can we move forward? And he goes, well, if you put a hammer into a wall before you get this level 2, it automatically disqualifies you from CDBG. So he goes, I wouldn't recommend it, and he goes, but I don't want a partial design, only you to come back 6 months later, because I'll have to do it again. And this is a few $1,000s that, like, for level 5 or level 2, like.
So that's a phase 2 environmental.
Yeah, phase 2,
setting.
yes, thank you.
Right.
Yeah,
Which is even before the bid documents of construction.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's always, it's a tough one.
And especially, if we get CDBG, we have to follow Davis-Bacon.
Yeah, that's the tricky part.
Yeah.
Though there are ways.
Yes, well, I'll talk to you.
Yeah, that's a big
one.
That's a big cost.
It's also a lot of work for you.
Yeah,
That's the reason why you'll spend your whole time having to deal with that.
I
yeah.
think right now, a drywall taper makes $60 an hour. Davis-Bacon.
I can drywall.
I can drywall really well.
Yeah.
The other thing is, will you have public input for design, for design and putting on what should be done within the facility and this building? Any public input?
Bob, it's gonna be stuck to what we can do. Let's organize you walking through, because it's very, like, there's some walls that can come down for programming space.
It's limited.
And we're trying to keep it very generic so we can be multi-purpose. Yeah, of course, any public input, like, say, yeah, you should have more of this. But the one thing our application is contingent on is offering a boatload of senior programming. Because that was the only way we really could qualify for CDBG, because seniors over 62, Bren, does it qualify as, as low income, even though, and we don't need income verification, where if we did it for the youth, we would need to know how much the household income is, and that becomes a whole rigmarole. So this is kind of the easier way around it. Will it be a multi-generational space? Absolutely. But
And one of the things that we made sure that we pressed when putting out for this project in this place was that we were going to phase it in for the community. So for phase 1, probably I would imagine we're not going to take too much public input, because that's more to get these guys up and running for what we need for programming spacing, for their office spacing. And then phase 2, phase 3,
is the
when
whole
we talk
property
about
in general,
expansion. At that point, I'm sure we're going to have a lot of public input on that, because that's where we start to kind of go from the ground up as opposed to what's there that we're working with.
because the site analysis we did prior to, we've hired someone to come in, like, all right, what can we fit? And they said, all right, you can fit 70 parking spaces, and you can still fit
A small gymnasium.
a 20,000 square foot addition. What's in that addition will be up to the public.
Right.
And I
So,
think the building itself, I think that the big cost items are unseen.
Right.
It's mechanical,
Right.
electrical, and plumbing,
Yeah,
bringing the
that's gonna be the big
systems
one.
back up to code, and
Yeah.
then, once you do that work, then
ADA
ADA
accessibility.
kicks in, because you've done so much dollars worth of work.
Right,
And an elevator's
right.
yeah.
part of the puzzle.
We're not doing the full elevator, we're doing a lift that can fit up to 3 people.
Which
Which makes,
suffices.
which makes commercial needs. So, and
Which comes back to the chicken or the egg
Yeah.
part of, you spend $100 grand to get mechanical, electrical, plumbing drawings to go out to bid, or you could go to a Palmer Sicard and say, come look at the space, we need to get up to current code.
Yeah.
They can do a design, but how do you get a bid for that?
yeah, we've gotten 2 quotes from HVACs to bring it up. Vastly different.
When you say bring it up, is that incorporating long-term in terms of what you'd like to see, 3 years from now?
Long-term as bringing it up to code, putting all the COVID protocols in, that going to one heating and cooling source. Right now, it's a steam radiator, couple mini splits, an HVAC heat source, so it kind of combine into one and more energy efficient type thing. So it would meet the needs moving forward for the next 15, 20 years for the existing structure. What we do down the line.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other discussion points on 10 Hampton Road or any more updates that you want done?
No?
I did want to say it was really nice last weekend to see some individuals that weren't real steady on their feet, and you could tell couldn't walk from the parking lot that were actually using the 10 Hampton Road space, and it was nice to see them have a really short walk over. They were elated. One person we saw in the parking lot, and they didn't know that it was going on. I saw the guy getting out there, and my kids rolled their eyes when I said, I'm just going to go talk to them for a second. So I just said, you go park up at 10 Hampton Road and get right in, and the woman came up to me across the field. Her husband was sitting still, and just said, oh my God, thank you so much, because there's no way I would have had to stop 10 times going up.
And now people are more apt to park at 10 Hampton Road than 4 Hampton Road. That's our problem we're running into now. And we got to come up with a solution to keep people off the grass.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Other than police tape around it saying.
It doesn't look good. But my maintenance guys have an idea what this is going to cost us a little bit to go get the lumber.
Yeah.
So.
To put a barrier around.
Yeah, they're not going to use police tape, but they're going to use that plastic chain and 4x4s and make it look decent. Yeah. And we'll be able to reuse it if we can.
Yeah.
Just
good. It's temporary.
Yeah.
It's temporary.
One thing I'd like to throw out real quick about 10 Hampton Road that I've heard from a few people is a community garden. I've heard that from a few people over there. So kind of like to your point, Bob, is like structurally we may be a little limited, but maybe with like some of the design and things outside of the building, getting the public's input I think would be good too. And
that's a good point. If you put garden beds on that grass rather than a fence, that'll keep people from parking there.
Yeah, like a raised bed.
Yeah, raised beds.
Yeah, I will say, having gone through a similar process in Portsmouth, the number one over and over and over and over again was raised bed gardens, outdoor garden space, community gardens. Like that was constantly the feedback I got. I was like, okay, we can do that.
Yeah, it's not
Thank
too
you,
expensive.
check.
That'd be great.
Yeah, and then soliciting like the Exeter Garden Club or whatever.
Yeah.
To fill them or care for them too.
I was going to say, I mean, we've got a couple, and we've also got somebody
We'll speak offline.
We've also got somebody, on one of our boards too, also on Stratham Nursery too, Stratham Circle Nursery as well, so.
Dave Short's a big supporter of the Parks and Rec.
And I know that, once again, I know he doesn't like any praise or anything, but Keith Whitehouse has certainly always stepped up to help us. He helped clear the entire back of that, and I know he always said, don't say my name because I'm just doing it because I want to, but we really appreciate it. So we really appreciate him stepping in and helping always. Great idea, David, with the community garden. Anything else on 10 Hampton Road, guys, before we move on? All right, let's recap on summer fall programming, my friend.
yeah, so another great summer. Weather, couldn't have asked for better weather. So, with that comes a busy pool and concession season. I think Jen could say that concessions did really well this year. We added selling season pool passes down there, which I think was great. Those were really popular down there. Summer camp went really well. I'd like to point out too, for anyone that's listening at home, but also as we were talking earlier about different responsibilities of the board, is we would really like to see some sort of fundraising for scholarships for summer camp. We did have some funds available. Seacoast Women of Harley, I think is the group. They had donated some money for summer camp, so we did have a few families that we were able to subsidized, I think, 50%, and then some other families were generous enough to match that other 50%. So, you know, it's really nice to see kids be able to join for a full summer that may not have been able to. So it's something to think about. I'm trying to brainstorm some ways to fundraise to get like a good, strong camp scholarship fund going.
We do it at school with the union gives out scholarships to teachers who have graduating seniors, and you just contribute like $2 extra out of your paycheck. So what it's like when you register, there was a box where it's like, would you like to donate $2 towards the scholarship fund?
Awesome.
Yeah.
So people just like, I register, and then boom, $2 goes right there.
Oh,
Tip jar.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That's awesome.
Have you heard about the scholarship program, Are You In?
Yeah,
We do. We
Do you
use
use
that.
that?
Yeah.
for all our other programs except summer camp.
Except summer camp. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. We've always partnered with her, and yeah, we don't turn anyone away for any other programs, really.
Okay.
Yep.
I think we had unlimited pool passes this year for them.
Were you gonna say something? Sorry.
No, not yet. Actually, go ahead. Thanks.
The pool was really busy, as Greg mentioned. We did have that one little issue with some of the pipes and plumbing, but otherwise, with the nice weather, it was really busy down there. Swim lessons are back, and they went really well this year. We've sort of maximized the efficiency of the pool during lessons. So we were able to add more lessons. We were also able to add private lessons, which we've never had, so like a one-on-one. It was just kind of filling in some of the gaps where it was like a little bit of a lull, and we had like some extra lifeguards kind of hanging out. So, and then next year we're actually looking to add some adult swimming lessons too. We had someone join us, you actually might know, but she has 10 plus years, I think, of aquatics experience, and she helped us a lot with swim lessons this year, but she mentioned adult swim lessons. I guess it's a thing, so yeah. So I think we'll be bringing that. Yeah, excited to see how that works out. But yeah, the pool and summer camp went really well. Other than that, our golf camp numbers are still doing really well. It seems like that's something to stick around, yeah. But unfortunately, our flag football camp numbers were down again this year. And then even with like fall flag football, we had to cancel because we just didn't get the numbers this year.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Is that due to a outside league
I think
that
the
is
fall-
coming? Because that's what I had heard people.
And we just turned it around, Jen, and charged them a good amount of money to use our fields, and guess what? Makes up the revenue loss.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
So
It was a little tighter for families. I
Yeah.
think that you guys were obviously the cheaper option. And I mean, I just heard from a family with several boys, and it was like, they canceled, and so they still played, but
Yeah.
they were kind of bummed that they were mad more at the other company or organization.
And
that
see,
came in.
the problem was they never shut down during COVID. They were full bore, full league during the height of COVID, and a lot of them just gravitated. They killed Hampton's flag football program last year, and now ours this year, and it just...
Yeah, it happens.
They did, and we're actually seeing that in basketball
Every
as well.
sport, yeah, basketball, and we'll get to that too, but I think it's interesting because, like you said too, a lot of times what they do is they jump before rec gets their registration out, and a lot of people think that that's rec. A lot of people think that it's rec affiliated, and they'll register, and then once they register and figure out it's not, okay, well, we already registered, but we had that happen a couple times.
Well, I think you only need one or two of the players
Yeah.
to go there, and then all the kids want to go with the players.
That's exactly it too. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
We definitely, I think we could have gotten the registration open earlier for flag football, fall flag football this year. So we'll make sure we get ahead of that too. Another thing too I was going to get to, but I also think, and this isn't to knock on any of our coaches, we're so appreciative of them, but I just put out a soccer survey because soccer just wrapped up on this weekend. So just looking for feedback, and some of the feedback that we got this time, and I've seen it before, is there's some inconsistencies with coaching. So I think that kind of goes into it too, that people are may not be so happy with a coach that they got, so they're going to go to these other more like private leagues. So
What do you think about on that? Because we see it a lot, you know, having coached in rec, you see the differences, and then you hear from people the differences of what your team might be doing or someone else's, and vice versa. What do you think about setting up at the beginning of the season for rec sports, something almost like, kind of like a syllabus, I guess, for each week, for each grade group, and say, you know, this week I want you guys to do this, maybe throw a few drills out to them so that everyone's being consistent, because I think that there is a difference in experience levels, or the difference in how much a coach is in or not, to be able to research new and different things to do with their team, to learn more. But I will say, with Hawks, which we certainly could do, with rec as well, is when I was coaching, they would always have something that they would send out for the week and be like, this age group, this is what you should be working on, that age group, this is what you should be working on. One of the things that they had, which we probably can't do, but they had one person that was there on that day of practices and would go from practice to practice and kind of watch and see what was going on with the kids, and if there was an area that they could help somebody improve coaching-wise or help the kids out. They would kind of come in and kind of tweak the drill, and then the kids would get a little more, then they'd move to the next group and go around. So,
that's a great idea.
but it worked really well, and everyone was on the same page. You saw everybody doing the same drill, and you're like, oh, this looks kind of cool. Everybody's really doing it and doing it right.
Right.
So if we could do something like that, I think that it would help with that.
The coaches clinic, I was thinking
Coaches
that.
clinics are great.
I really like that idea too. And then I'm also scheduling a meeting with this company. It's called, I think it's Mojo Sports. It's kind of an interesting name, but they provide like a lot of resources and practice plans and things like that for coaches. So I'm curious to see. I'm not sure there's probably a fee involved, so we'll see about that. But again, I think it goes back to, kind of training coaches and kind of supervising them a little bit, and just
Because it's tough for even an experienced coach, and you think about, I don't think if someone volunteers to coach because they know there's a need for a body, for someone to coach, they don't realize the preparation that goes into it. I mean, you know, I coach for Seacoast for softball, and I'll tell you the amount of preparation I have to put into a practice each time, because it has to be different every time, and you have to look at them, okay, what didn't they catch on this week, and then do drills the following week. So if that's something that can be provided for these coaches that are volunteering and stepping in where we need them, then that would be huge. That would be great.
Do the Hawks or any other leagues, do they provide any incentives to coaches? Like we offer a $10 discount?
Yeah, so Hawks did not when I was coaching. Seacoast, I get paid as a coach. I mean, that's a separate, I mean, it's a separate thing. But Hawks, I didn't get paid to coach. I don't know if the head coach.
No, there's no discount.
Yeah, we didn't get a discount either. We get a lot of praise and they're grateful, and you get a shirt.
Yeah, you get a sweet shirt.
I got a shirt, that is still in a hat, but didn't get any incentives. So
That's another thing we're trying to think of, how to get more, but everyone's busy. It's that's the tough thing. We have those that will always commit, and we have those that are just.
One of the things we're working on is creating those long-term volunteers. So we do it really well on the senior side, that when we're recruiting volunteers to teach, let's say, yoga, we're not looking for someone to teach a 6-week yoga course. We're looking for someone who's going to teach yoga for us for 6 years. So just going into the volunteer recruitment with a little bit of that mentality that we're very upfront about, that like, and same thing, we're trying to do that now, that mindset with all of our coaches. We want you to volunteer for basketball, but we want you to do this every year while your kids are moving up. So that creates an investment in that volunteer mentality on our part. And of course, you're not going to keep everyone, but if we are constantly thinking about how we're going to invest in this person, because it's a long-term commitment versus like, let's just get through the season.
Yeah.
So it's just a little bit of a shift in thinking as the program coordinator of like, this is, I need to do my best to keep this person for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So how so that means the lesson plans, that means the coaches clinics, that means, so that they feel confident when they walk, whether it's the court or the field or the what have you.
Yeah.
do you feel that a lot of the the coaches that we've had, the kids have aged out, because I used to always coach with the same coaches, and then all of a sudden those the same ones
Yeah.
they coach with, I'm still coaching with,
Yeah.
and the others have gone.
Right. I mean, there was like the COVID years too. So, I mean, you forget about all
that's
that
true,
time.
true.
But I agree. I was just looking at an old coach's contact list and I'm like, none of these names are around anymore.
Yeah.
It was 2019. So, but I mean,
Kids have gotten older.
not that long. Yeah. So,
I think we
And
Well, we do
kids
see-
aren't- the same kids aren't playing sports. Like,
That's right.
so many kids.
Or they've gone to travel at a certain age, and then the parents have finally said, oh, they've gotten a taste of what it's like to be able to sit back and watch their kids and cheer them on instead. Like, whoa, this feels really good.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice, but yeah.
I do think
it's
though, we
important
do have, it's sort of a new wave coming and I've seen, I mean, I've kind of been out of it
Yeah.
because of just being in a new role, but it looks like we do see most of the same coaches come back from soccer, now basketball, and then soccer again.
Our baseball league's seen a big spike
Yeah.
in 8 and 9 year
8 and 9,
olds
okay.
with some new coaches coming with that. But it's tough. I mean, parents are gonna come coach when their kid's playing. Then their kids are gonna go to another league or another sport. And you're always gonna have some coaches who are reluctantly there. Some coaches who aren't good at it. Just, they're not good at interacting with the kids. And then parents don't like that. One thing we've found in baseball, there's some really good, the Red Sox Foundation has a great website that you can just, they have a ton of videos.
Oh, I'll check that out.
And I'm sure every sport has similar stuff.
Yeah.
It's not a fix, but somebody who hasn't coached before or isn't comfortable at least can go figure out what he's going to do at practice that afternoon. And that can be hard if you've never done that.
And trying to assess the different levels of your kids.
Well,
is
even
really
to know what
hard.
to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or give you an idea.
if you just, well, you know, we always struggle to get coaches. So guys step up, and great for them, guys, women, whoever. But okay, it's practices at 6, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
They might not have any idea. But there's a lot of good online resources to at least give you, okay, well, here's 3 things I'm going to do at practice. So,
We're getting over the fear of like, oh, I never played soccer. I never played soccer, but I coached soccer with
Right.
my daughter wanted to try it.
Right.
And I utilized the resources
You too, as your
we have,
Yeah.
Right.
but it was 4-year-old soccer. It's like herding cats.
Yeah.
It's just like, all right, you run around here, kick the ball, and if you can spread out. And I found having a pocket full of Starburst
Oh, yeah.
helped quite a bit. Like,
Skittles.
nice pass, here's a Starburst.
yeah, stuff like, if you can just go to
Yeah.
a guy or woman who's never coached and just say, we'll just do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then,
Week to week sort of syllabus.
Or,
is
yeah,
huge for
let
that.
them know that you're going to let them know. Because, I mean, I still, right now, we've got more advanced girls. I go to YouTube every week. Like, okay, I need something to keep them fired up. Because if I do the same drill every single week to get them to hit an inside pitch, they're going to go to Aruba in their head. They're not going to pay attention. So every single week, we have like 3 or 4 drills.
Yeah.
And I pull them up on YouTube, all different ones. Okay, you guys look like you're fading. Move on to this drill over here. We're moving on. So I think if we can do that, or at least provide them with, not say you have to do this, but here's, okay, this is this week. If you need these, they're here for you. Some people have a great handle around it,
Right.
and they do a good job with their practices. But I think that if you put out there that we will provide you with the tools.
Yeah.
You provide us your mind, your energy. That's the biggest thing. You need somebody with energy, good spirit to get out there. If you can get them to do it, you can teach anybody to coach. So you just need them to have a good way about them. That's a big one.
but it's an ongoing struggle.
Yeah, it is.
Get people to volunteer to do anything.
Yes,
It is.
it is. So we thank all of you, because I know you all volunteer for so much.
I knew you're all here.
What else we got, Dave?
I think that covers it really for like the programs and stuff, but I did want to just mention too, our senior council is back. We've taken a break obviously since COVID, but we have a lot of different organizations at the table. We are always looking for residents too to join, so we're excited to get that going. We've kind of back in March, we talked about the age-friendly community survey and how that was out. So that's wrapped up, and we have the results too, if anyone's interested in that. I think they're on the town website, but if not, I'll make sure Bob or someone gets them down there.
And Dave's
too.
being humble. He got an award. He got an award for senior fitness.
Oh, the New Hampshire Governor's Council on Physical Activity.
Yeah.
I was also
You beat all those seniors at the physical fitness competition? Took all the gold.
plan that he wrote.
Yeah.
He wrote an age-friendly plan that's beautiful and
Thanks.
really makes Exeter Rec look far and above anyone in the state. It really was well done, like the
Thanks.
resource program guide, it was
That
very,
will
very well
eventually
done.
be printing and putting out all over town, so if we have a new senior move in, they can, oh, look at this, and it's all the resources they need in town.
It was really well
And it's
done.
gonna be online, obviously, so when those people are potentially moving in, they can look at like, oh, look at all of what Exeter has to offer for seniors.
Yeah.
Like, it has content that's good, but it looks
Canva, it can make anyone be a graphic designer overnight. It's awesome.
But you
It's
use,
the
like,
best
you used it, so it's professional, it looks very high quality.
Use your tools.
And I gotta thank Bob. Bob actually volunteers a lot for us as well. We did intro to pickleball, and I mean, the moment we put it up, it'd sell out. Like, we had people from like, oh, I missed it again, And so we're gonna take a break for the winter, obviously, and start that back up, because we have so many more people interested in pickleball. And if people say COVID supply chain issues are still not in, I'm still waiting on those semi-permanent pickleball nets. They're about 8 weeks late. And the manufacturer's like, we're hoping to ship them next week. And this is a large manufacturer that keeps pushing it. I'm like, please, just ship them. So, but Bob, and there's a lot of volunteers that go into that, and they integrate them into the whole group. So it's a very good feeder program, because we had over 200 people sign up for pickleball this year.
Awesome. If you go to Bootleggers right now, there's a lovely display on pickleball socks, pickleball sneakers.
Oh, there it is.
All your pickleball athletic needs for your feet.
And talking,
Bootleggers nonetheless. I mean, if Bootleggers is like
Yeah.
promoting pickleball, you know
Right.
it's made it.
and I talked, the USTA is now accepted pickleball, and they're looking at ways to integrate that into their facilities more. And a new one, Padel, it's the European version of pickleball.
Can't take another version.
Yeah, but it's not like pickleball, but he warned me last week, there's another one coming. I'm like,
Can't do it, can't do
I'm
it.
like, I don't even know what Padel is, and he goes, oh, it's similar. So that's So, but,
Is that
yeah.
gonna lead us into number 8 on the agenda? Pickleball?
We're going into, do you have more, Dave, on?
Yeah, no, just, there's some new programs and stuff like that. We're doing an overnight trip, with Best of Times too, so it's bringing in about $1,000. Nashville Country Christmas.
You're doing the country
Yeah.
Christmas, yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, yeah, we're excited. We got 12 or 13 people signed up for
Killer.
it. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's new, it's exciting. We're working with Langdon Place on doing Aqua Zumba in the winter. They're doing some renovations, adding some bathrooms and changing rooms down there, but that's exciting too, because I
Very
know it's
exciting.
really
Nice
popular
job.
in the summer, so be able to offer Exeter residents that in the winter, I think would be great.
Dave, is your information on the senior resources available now, you say, or it's going to be on the website?
The resource guide?
Yeah.
That's not yet posted, we're still finalizing it, but.
And we got some positive feedback, like, should tweak the cover, because it looks like it's just Exeter Parks and Rec. So we
Yeah.
want to recognize all the organizations
Right.
that are in it, so
Okay.
we're
Sure.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have those available hard copy for
Hard
the
copy,
seniors that don't
yep,
have perfect.
yep.
That's great.
And we want to work with Bob at Exeter TV to not only our programs, but that resource guide, have that go through on the public access channel.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Maybe think
all different
about
avenues.
some other local places in town that you can have those left, like I'm sure me and Ollie's would do a little
Oh, yeah.
stand or something like that. So
Yeah.
library,
Yeah.
Ollie's.
When are you anticipating that?
Probably sooner rather than later. We're kind of doing like more final details to it, so I think maybe by the end of the year.
Okay.
And then he does also a quarterly senior brochure that we're gonna try to work with a printing company that will print them for us, and we're hoping to start mailing them in 2023.
Yeah.
But they have to sign up. We're gonna follow Bryn's model. They have to sign up, and then we'll mail it to them. We're not just gonna do a mass mailing,
It's expensive.
because we could never
Never
afford them.
printing, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? In color.
You don't get color.
All right, awesome, thanks to
Yeah,
everything
thank
you're doing. Anything else you have on summer programming?
No, that was all.
All
I'd
right.
like to just say one comment. I just want to say, these guys do an amazing job in the summer. There was the last day of camp, coincided with the big pickleball tournament. It was a gorgeous day. The pool was pumping, the snack shack, I mean, we had a line we couldn't keep up with. The counselors were playing music, the pickleball, it was gorgeous out. Kids were crying because it was the end of camp, which to me is a sign of an amazing, amazing camp. And in that moment, I was so proud to be part of Exeter. When I saw the word vibrant on our mission statement, like that's exactly what that was, and I just want to recognize that because I was just so proud to like have a rec shirt on that day and be part of it, and it was amazing, and they put in so much work. I know you do year round. I see most of it in the summer, but I just wanted to take that moment to say that.
Well said.
Thank you
Well
guys.
deserved.
You should give each other. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought so, the same thing. I saw young people, old people.
Exactly.
Just the mix is like a
Well,
vibrant
no.
community going on.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was everything
I agree.
that town and that facility should be.
Awesome. We like to change old people to more seasoned people.
Yeah, seasoned residents.
We're not allowed to call them old. It's
I call them
seasoned.
savvy residents.
Savvy and sassy, I'll tell you, they are sassy. Experienced,
Yes.
I like that experience. Thanks, Jen. That's absolutely what we want. And you look at the mission statement too, that just states exactly what our mission is.
It's really
That's
nice.
awesome. Park improvement project.
All right, quick update, supply chain issues, I'll go back to that. The water fountains are installed, they're ready to, we got the parts, they're ready to be fixed. The water department has taken out all the water meters, so that will be a spring project, so those will be up.
Is the fountains or the bottle fillers?
It's both.
Okay.
Yeah. You all seen Park Street Common, which is awesome, our truly first ADA. And a resident texted me a picture of her daughter who is in a wheelchair and said, "This is the first playground in town I can go to."
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so it was awesome. And Kiwanis Club just actually donated 2 benches, so that's where I was at 5. So it was great. I'm trying to think, we've done a lot. The budget committee put a challenge to do a lot of little things around town, and we've done it like the townhouse common gazebo, I'll call it. It looks like it's been there forever. So that's one of the nice things. We did irrigation in there, even though we had to shut it off halfway through, but there's irrigation, so when we have a lot of winter damage, we can turn it on, grow grass, and then shut back off, because that one does well. I mean, we've done, trying to think of all the different projects. It seems I was going from Molly every other month to ask for approval. We did ADA access, we're finishing that project up this week or next week. We have one little pad to pour, and then the lower courts will be accessible. Via wheelchair.
Yay, oh, that's so
Yeah,
exciting.
the ramp is in there, so, and it's not going.
ramp's already in?
Oh, yeah, the ramp's been in, and it's not going anywhere. They
Good.
put in these 4-foot hurricane ties. I'm watching him drill it down, and he goes, "It would need to be a class 5 to come through here."
If we could only get those
Yeah,
from
I'm like, not gonna happen. So that's done. I mentioned the pickleball nets that were ordered. Those have been ordered. I'm waiting on those still. We did put out a net temporarily, and people, Bob can attest, used
Been
them.
using them.
So we'll be able to we'll go back to the board anyways and
There's
discuss.
actually 2 that are up permanently, aren't there right now?
No, just one.
Okay, I thought there were 2 on the first.
Because I'm amazed that it's lasted this long. It's a little warped, but it works still. I'm trying to think.
Was there something like Gale walkway, or was that?
No, that was a few years ago. I mean, there's so many little things that we did. I do have to go back to the board in November and ask, one of the things, they asked to trim the trees. We had to wait till December when it's quiet at the rec park, and we also get a winter discount. So I'm saving $1,000 by doing it in December. We put 2 storage bins out there. We just have to stock them with brooms and stuff like that, so people will be able to sweep off, and we're gonna ask people to sweep off if they feel they're the courts. We've been trying, we go up there every other day and blow off the courts, and then there's a volunteer that blows off the courts for our pickleball crew. And it's a task. Those trees are way too close to any courts, and there shouldn't be any trees.
A
But
big one that I saw this weekend.
in 2023, right now what is in the initial budget is a warrant article for the park improvement fund for $100,000 to come out of the fund balance again. So hopefully that passes. Things we're looking at in 2023 is the benches around the pool. If anyone's been there, it kind of warped. They need to be replaced with real benches. There's brick repair at Townhouse Common that needs to be done. We had applied for an AARP grant that we didn't get, but anyone that goes by Townhouse Common now, there's a pathway, but you really can't see it going from the municipal lot to Court Street. So we'd like to upgrade make some safety lighting so people feel comfortable. Gilman Park, I'm looking to install a water line back there, so as we expand, we can maybe eventually put irrigation and redo that little ball field and then put a water fountain. The Attorney General won't let us do a community garden there.
Oh, because it's too close to, okay.
No, it's because, long story short, but yeah.
What about a splash pad?
Wait, Gilman, it's not in the management plan. We never got to it. Town dock gangway replacement, with our new kayak program, one of the complaints we've heard, we replaced the town dock in 2018, but the gangway was not replaced. It's not really compatible with our dock system, so it moves a lot, so we're looking to put one that's lighter and can kind of stay where it's supposed to be. Door replacement at the pool, and Jen can attest to this, a lot of the doors interior, the jambs are rusted out by 1 inch, so that's a safety hazard, we're gonna have to do that. Kids park fencing, the fabric only. Someone decided they would be funny and take pliers and all the bent parts of the chain link and put them up, so they became sharp, jagged edges. So, people ripping stuff. Park Street Common, irrigation installation and overseeding. That's one, because it's in a tough spot. Pocket Park renovation, working with planning to start in front of the municipal lot, reshaping that area to be more of a public space. Right now it's taken up by all flower beds, and then informational kiosks at all of our parks that we can start putting up our information. And then we're gonna tackle this in-house, is repainting the pool ourselves. Our park foreman.
I will help you.
Worked for 20 years at Water Country as their director of maintenance. So he's painted a few pools over his
Does that
time.
include the pool house from Yellow?
Yes.
I have brushes.
Yeah.
I will do it myself.
I will help you.
Thank you.
If we do it in the spring, it could be a senior service project.
Ooh,
They're always
that's
looking for
right.
hours.
Okay.
They do a
That's
full
right.
day of
Love your
volunteering.
senior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's
Make
a
it
lot
match the
of.
new place of white and black, maybe.
Yeah.
Match up with our
Yep.
new place. It's a good idea.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of stuff right there.
Your alma mater as well can jump in for projects for community service as
Yeah.
well on that.
So rate those totals from estimates were about $109,000. We have 13,000 in there currently, another 6 coming out there. So we should have enough to be able to do a lot of these little small off projects.
I think you also put the rest of the fence topper at Gilman.
We did. We actually,
We never did.
Bauer Hockey volunteered for us. They sent 50 volunteers. Originally, they were gonna help me move our playground chips at Park Street, but then that got delayed by about 2 months. And so they actually stained the whole entire guardrail, and then they kept, what else? They mulched the trees, they put the fence topper on, they cleaned up trash. So when the president of Bauer is there picking up trash and painting, I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
It looks nice down there.
Yep.
Yeah, it does.
So, and that's it.
Do we have a park improvement projects? Quick question, because I'll do that if that's the case. I believe it is, but I want to double check that.
It's not him putting it in.
Okay, who was it?
It's Exeter Youth. I had some contractor.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was,
It's Exeter Youth softball. Yep.
All right. That was,
yeah,
it looks great. So
if they can finish it.
Yeah, hopefully they will. This weekend, I was really excited to turn around and see that the dugouts are starting to go up down at Parks and Rec. They are right now just frames.
Work with Liz to do it.
Teo noticed and said, how come there's a post in the middle? I said, well, because they'll fall over if there isn't, but the dugouts are starting to take shape down there too, so that'll be really great to see.
Yeah.
And I'll be able to entice people to do more.
Especially
tournaments and things like that.
Riptide is already booked their tournament
I
in.
think yep.
Well,
We got you going.
the Babe Ruth thing, they're under the Babe Ruth, that you only have so much time to get it in, and
Yeah, USA is coming. We got time.
Yep. So we want to do more softball tournaments because we have a top-notch facility
Yeah, we
and
do.
Saturdays and Sundays, where all these hot kids running around come down to the pool and spend your money, go swimming in between games, and go back up. So
We're pretty psyched, so we're definitely gonna be getting those other dates too as well, because it's a great facility. It'll be awesome down there. So, but it looks really good. So thank you to everybody that put in for those. Old business, yes.
Greg, may I suggest to look at the tennis/pickleball courts for cracks are developing again?
yeah,
I want to take a.
I actually
look
have
at
a crack sealer I bought, and my guys will be doing that in the spring. You're gonna see them pouring it in themselves. I'm trying to save a little bit of money because the membranes they put on, and unfortunately that's something that I've updated my number in my deferred maintenance is. It's going on, I'll be 20 years here in March, 18 years, about 20 years is the life expectancy before we have to grind down the courts and repave it, which would mean we lose courts for a whole summer as a cure.
Didn't we just do that, or did we just?
Oh, we did that in 2005.
Okay, so we just recoded
We just
them.
recoded
Okay.
it, yeah. You do it every 5 to 7 years to recode them, but the problem is the high water table.
Oh, yeah.
So you're going higher now.
So it technically we should, if not just grind them down, but dig down, put a new gravel base,
For drainage.
which leads us to, we need fencing, and you don't want to know the cost of 10-foot high aluminum fencing right now.
Cutting the trees back will help too.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard that down in the
Yeah.
bottom courts. We heard that from a number of people.
So that is, but I already bought the green and the red.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I may ask volunteers to help.
Okay. All right. Old business, or do we include our old business in?
Well, you notice Tara Barker isn't here. She now works for Bryn. So we have a rec coordinator's position open. So that'll be posted shortly. We like to share professionals. So that's kind of old and new. So look for something to be coming out shortly.
Do we have any candidates in the?
It hasn't been posted yet.
Okay.
But it has been spread through the Parks and Rec field.
Yep.
And there are people interested in the position.
Awesome. So, new business, I did want to propose something that I've seen work really well for a couple of other committees. We've gone to quarterly for our meetings with the lists that Greg just read off of hopes that we hope to get done 2023, going into 2024, Planet Playground potentially coming in 2024, which means a lot of planning in 2023. A lot of things that potentially are going to be on the docket to come up that we really should be a part of, giving input and being part of, putting together mission statements, putting together a plan for Parks and Rec. I wanted to propose that like a couple of other committees do. We say that this committee is a once a month. However, at the end of the meeting, much like they've done for a couple of the other committees that are out there, at the end of the meeting, they say, do we think we need to meet next month based on what's on the agenda? And oftentimes it gets pushed forward a month or gets pushed forward 2 months. My fear is that when we have it quarterly and we all have so much going on and it's been so busy that we lose 6 months like we did this last time. And I started thinking about this because of when the playground proposals were going out. A lot of us didn't know what was going on. A lot of us hadn't had any input on it. And it's really important that we know what's going on, because part of our role as well is to help educate the community when they have questions. And when we don't know what's going on, we can't be that resource for them. So I wanted to put that out and see what your thoughts were in saying that, you know, chances are we're probably still going to end up meeting quarterly, but with all of these coming on, it's easier to have a meeting at the end, say, should we push this out, than to miss potentially sitting down and saying, okay, we really need to talk about this time, who's available, like let's try and pull it all together rather than having it ready to go, and then we can always cancel it. It's very easy to do that. So I want to open that up for discussion if you guys want to.
When did the board decide to start going quarterly? How long has it been?
It's been 6, it was the last meeting we had.
Last meeting.
So we haven't even tried the quarterly meetings
Yes.
for 1 year yet.
Yes, my concern is though, if we go to quarterly, right now we're probably looking at December, which is holidays, and we probably won't have that, which means January, February, March, we're going to be talking about potentially having a meeting, so wouldn't go till February or March. At that point, we're into the spring to talk about something like the playground that should be ready to go in real time. My goal is to try and avoid any fire drills at the last minute, because when you guys get those and when the budget committee gets these proposals, they have to be ready for prime time. They can't be unanswered questions because we didn't come together as a board and ask. You know, we're very lucky to have, you know, Mike Whistler here, who has that background to be able to ask the really important questions of things that may not have been asked about electrical or building or something of that nature that may hold up the whole process and put us out to another year of getting those approved. So that was my hope and my goal for.
When the board decided to go to quarterly, what was the reasoning then?
At the time, we really didn't have a whole lot going on, and we kept having to cancel meetings because that year we did not have a lot going on because we just finished up with the 10 Hampton Road and everything else going through. So after that happened, we kind of said, ooh, we can take a little breather, but I think we took too much of a breather in there. And we felt the repercussions a little bit over the last few months.
I also think that it would probably make sense to say, okay, we're going to meet in November, we'll skip December, maybe skip January, or skip March because the budget or the election, so everything needs to be on the ballot and talked about. So if we have November, January, February, skip March, you know, and then like, do we skip April? Maybe.
Right.
Or have an April meeting and May, and then June, everybody's into it, like all of the plans are being executed. So like go to, you know, call of the chair for the summer, have a recap meeting in the fall.
Right.
You know.
Because we usually take that, it's a good opportunity to step back in the summer. Everybody's really busy. We've got people that are working a lot, that are volunteering for the town and doing things like that. And to your point, having them at least on the calendar with the ability to say we don't have anything really.
I think that's the key point, is putting them on the calendar.
Because we do have to buy for rooms as well,
I think leaving here with another date helps secure that date on the calendar for the next month instead of waiting until we decide.
I think it makes more sense to just go back to scheduling a meeting every month.
And then if we need to cancel them, which more than likely we will end up going quarterly, but I think, and my goal with Greg is to make sure we give ample time to everybody to know that it's not happening. I think the caveat of having that is that we don't throw out a date to somebody that people have already made plans, because we have lives. We want to make sure everybody has lives, and we don't want to throw out a date and everybody say, oh God, I have this that I planned. Well, if you already know in advance that is a meeting date, and then we'll give you enough notice if it needs to be canceled.
But we also need more members. There's 3 vacancies.
Yes, we do have 3 vacancies as
Are
well.
we still recruiting now, or?
Oh, yeah, actively recruiting, and Molly can attest. Every committee in this, I'll look right at the camera, every committee needs volunteers to.
Yes, very much
step
so.
up.
And you can go on our site, we should have our mission statement and what our role is on the Parks and Rec site. So if it's something that you're interested in, if you know anybody that's interested in, and is willing, able, and excited about the mission and what we're looking to do, that we oversee every Park and Rec entity in the town, not just certain entities. So if you're looking to help out. So I just want to put that out for discussion. If you want to discuss, then we can talk about it, we can take a vote on it, and we can.
I would make a motion that we go back to a scheduled monthly meeting the last week of every month.
Skipping December, because I think
Yeah, I
December's
think we
really
can,
tough.
I mean, I think that we can skip December, it's busy, there's not a lot going on. and
Unless
then
there's
maybe-
911.
Yeah, and then maybe skip March too because of the cycle, and then reevaluate for the summer.
Do we keep it the last Tuesday of the month? I think that worked out well.
It worked, if that works for everybody.
And that usually doesn't conflict with, because I think
Not conflict
whoever we
with
conflicted with
Thanksgiving.
upstairs never even showed up, so.
December is fine, January.
Skip December, and I think March too, because that's when the voting's gonna be anyway, so. That way we can upfront get that all into, to schedule the rooms. I don't know about you guys, also you can add in there too, do we like the right room or do we want to be upstairs? I actually kind of like this room if it's.
I think this is fine.
Yeah, I think it's,
If we ended up getting a few more, it's really just the chairs are.
Yeah, we just
It's
make sure.
small.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
If we had different chairs, we could fit more people in this room.
Yeah,
No, they're comfortable, but if you want more people in here,
Yeah.
these are bulky.
yeah, we can always.
They just got these brand new ones, so these.
Yeah, they're horrible. But also, if there's public comment, I guess we can easily be upstairs.
Right, we can
Yeah.
always, the issue is that there's usually
Right.
simultaneous meetings going on, so
But not-
tonight, that's why we're.
Not if we book it out way in advance,
Yeah, that's right.
especially the last Tuesday of the month.
Okay, so you want to start up there?
Yeah.
Okay, we can start up there, that's fine.
Is there anything, I'm just gonna take
Yeah.
these kids.
Want to make a motion, again, make the full motion for Virginia?
Still good for everyone?
Yeah, does 7 o'clock still work for everybody, or does 6:30 work better for everybody?
7 works better for me.
7 works better? 7 works better for
This is
everybody?
in Plymouth.
Yep, actually me too, because we started our skills and girls for secrets, so the 7 o'clock, I'll do some of them, but I can make it for half of it. All right, so I'll take a motion, Mike, if you want to put a motion in to reinstate.
I would move that the Rec Advisory Board reconvene monthly meetings on the last Tuesday of every month.
Eliminating December and
Taking a
March.
picture of
Yeah,
Alright.
eliminating December and March.
That way I can give that to Pam.
Does that work?
Yeah.
I second that.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? All right, so we will start reconvening every month with the exception of December and March. We'll get those on the calendar, but we'll let you know, and we'll reach out if the agenda looks really light and there's nothing that's really pressing that we can't push to the next month, then we'll go ahead and do that. Otherwise, we'll plan on pushing it, but I think it's important to have those on, so I appreciate the discussion on that. Anything else, guys, new business while we're here?
I would say they're both the New Hampshire Senior Games and Big Brothers Big Sisters wants to come back with amended plans, so it doesn't conflict with camp as much.
Okay, nice. That'd be awesome.
Would drop off and pick up. It would still be that day, those days on Fridays, but it wouldn't be. They would be clearing out, or they wouldn't even get there yet for drop off, and they would be clearing out when.
What time did they start on that Friday?
So last year was late in the afternoon, right, Bob? Wasn't it like 1?
There was some delay, but usually I would start late morning through most of the afternoon.
Yeah.
Is those
So their proposed plans would be starting by 10 and being done by 3
On Friday or
on Friday. But Saturday and Sunday, it's 7 a.m. to 7, it's all day long.
Right.
Well, hold on one second. So that's Friday is still the last day of camp, right?
Yes.
So instead of doing 1 to 4, they would do 10 to 3. Wouldn't that be more? inconvenient?
No, it was when there was a conversion of switching match play and summer camp pickup, so this would avoid the summer camp pickup altogether, because the conversion, the switching for match play would happen about 1-ish.
Here's a question that I have too, not to put a wrinkle in that too, but if by some chance it worked out well to keep it at 1 to 4, because I know a lot of people, like to come in and drive in, and I love that they're being accommodating. I think that's fantastic, and thank you for that. What's the possibility of potentially moving the campers down toward the pavilion and doing pickup at 10 Hampton, in and out, and having a steady, and then that way you clear campers all the way from where that's going on? Because I think that was the biggest issue, was coming in that way, number one, but also it was just the mixture of people that you didn't know with the young kids and stuff. That was the issue. But what do you think about?
It was mostly, I think, my camp staff was totally under control of the camp kids in the playground and Kim and out. It was really, the parking lot was a mess, and they understand that. So what they are proposing, and actually not even using for the senior games the parking lot at all, and using access and 10 Hampton Road, and keeping 4 Hampton Road for pool and camp only.
Only? Okay.
So,
Excuse me, I thought they were going to move the date, but did not conflict.
no, Bob, unfortunately, Joe,
the second hand, so help me out.
Joe is so there's only 2 certified pickleball refs in all of New England. So if you want to become a pickleball referee and certified, there's some money there. And one of them is based in Connecticut, but lives in Florida.
What's the certification process?
Leads Joe, and so Joe is very particular on the weekends he can do pickleball tournaments.
Okay.
And he leaves himself, because he's savvy, let's say, or seasoned, he leaves himself a week or 2 to recuperate in between tournaments.
Sure.
So asking him to move it to the week after, that wasn't going to work for them. So they've come with a proposal of, we don't want to conflict with camp. We know how important camp is. But at the same time, talking to Darren Winham, the economic impact of both those tournaments brought in hundreds and hundreds of people.
It's great to have.
To Exeter, and like I spoke to one lady that was at the senior games that came in from Pennsylvania.
So the concern, will it be police perhaps helping direct traffic?
Police, and they have assured 5 or more parking lot attendants. And that's what happened. Big Brothers and Big Sisters had the parking lot attendants in July, and there were no issues whatsoever. That Friday, the last day of camp, there was no parking lot attendance, and it became a mess. And I told them that can't happen again, and so I haven't given them a firm yes, because I still would like to speak with town manager and.
Oh, okay.
So going 10 to 3, pickup time is 3. So
they would be done by 3.
Right, which means they'd be clearing out at 3.
But if they're not even parking on 10 Hampton or 4 Hampton Road.
Have we cleared that with access already from now? Because they're in business right now, and their parking lot's usually pretty busy when they're open.
Yep. Siegel has worked with the property management company to free up.
Okay. Okay.
I would not say those are perfect times though, because things do happen, so 10 to 3, I would be a little more flexible in terms of the timing of when things are going to open and weather-based sometimes. That helps delay, so.
But I like your suggestion as well, if 10 Hampton Road could be the focus of.
Can have it be like a legitimate, you gotta grab your kid and go type of thing that day. Like we pass them in like a fast food lane. Your child is here, sign the, kind of like Chick-fil-A. You sign on the pad, you move to this, and.
It's just a tough spot because you don't have
a turnaround.
There is though, isn't there? It's just a strange, it doesn't go around the side. Well, maybe we can have it cleared by then.
I don't know if we'll have the driveway cleared by then. Yeah, that's being aggressive.
Is there any issues with the tournaments and the bathroom usage?
Nope, they're required to bring porta potties.
Oh, they are,
Yeah, it's well run.
Yep.
Great.
I made sure of that, because I'm like, you can't be going to the bathhouse, even though we do offer some flexibility, but there's a few of them that buy passes and so they can shower, and they buy a lot of food, a lot of ice cream.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, it's awesome to have the tournaments here. It's essential too for so much for the town. But I think that this is another reason to have why meetings pop up and is there. We could have this discussion, because this is something that I think we could definitely work through in conjunction for sure, because it's important to have those. But yeah, it was definitely manned.
I would love to see pickleball tournaments, these two, softball tournaments. I'd like to see 3 or 4 softball tournaments this summer.
Well, we got 3 coming your way.
Yeah,
and you're
so
one, so.
It comes in nice, it brings in lots of revenue, and I think it highlights our facilities.
And one thing I wanted to, and I am doing this in advance as well with new business, we're doing a fundraiser tournament. It's actually just a double header this year on October 30th, because October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so we're actually, we're doing a strikeout cancer double header on the 30th up in South Berwick. We were talking about I really want to do an October strikeout cancer tournament. And I'd like to use Exeter, and I put this out here now because we'd like to get I think we'll get a lot of buy-in from local businesses and donations. Just as a team, we're almost at $1,000 to donate to the Pink Fund right now, just from the team parents putting in, the girls are in pink, and, which they're not thrilled about, but they've got their shirts on that say second base. They have no idea what it means, but it's, it's good to have them, we covered second base in pink, and, so it's a small, big event. It's something near and dear to my heart, and I know a lot of others in town too, but something that I'd really like to think about doing and using our facilities here, and, maybe partnering with Exeter Hospital, pulling all of them in, Komen Foundation and all of that too. So
We'll just have to work with the UYSA to make sure they don't have games.
Yeah, I think that's, the good thing is that they're all finished up usually. Like we're done our last game on Saturday, so we could, maybe we could see if they can push it back that one weekend. Playoffs are in November, so maybe they jump over that weekend just for that, and they can come cheer us on.
Oh, and one last new business. Anyone that's going to be around on Saturday morning. I know you have your thing now there on Saturday.
I was just saying
Halloween parade is back. We haven't had it since pre-COVID, so it's going to be beautiful weather, sunny, 58 degrees. So we're looking. It's like an hour of volunteer work. You come down. You just be you get a judging scoring sheet. The kids have numbers. You say, all right, number 58 is first place. You give them to me, we give them a gift certificate and a certificate that they won. The marching band's in, the police, and...
Are they having the dog parade again?
10:30, so you'll be there at 10, and you're done by 11.
I could be there.
Yep. It's really fun.
I would be there, but Dan and I would be taking down the batting cage nets.
Yeah.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun.
Do we have storage for those?
Your garage.
As well. That's exciting. There's a dog parade happening is the question.
We do allow dog entries, so if someone wants to dress up their pet, they can. Yeah.
Mrs. Circle would be thrilled.
But if you're driving through downtown Exeter about 11 o'clock, do not be upset. Just avoid downtown Exeter. I'm talking to the residents, and then at 12 to 3 is downtown trick-or-treating. So if you have the littles that you don't want to go out at night on the 31st, go downtown. David hit every store. I know there's Ruffner Real Estate is opening special just for that day to hand out candy. Usually they're closed on a Saturday, so people really enjoy it, and the store really get a lot of business. Like pre-COVID, I mean, the whole downtown was packed.
And a lot of them are dog-friendly stores now too. They encourage dogs to come in, animals to come in with them. So, awesome. Well, I'm excited that's back. Good. Any other discussion, guys? Anything that we want to chat about for new business?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
There you go. That's new business right there. Second. All right. Adjourn. Thank you, guys. We will we'll get to work.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 98 and 22. Channel 98 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates.